I actually, for the first time ever, ate a new kind of food. $10 fucking USD a serving. So today you may notice I'm wearing one of my new button-down shirts. Also, when I wake up in the morning, I smash my head against the wall about 17 times till I start bleeding, just for fun.
Just a little preface before we actually start this video. I want to acknowledge that the last week of DSP has been pretty much non-existent. Nothing really exciting with the guy has been going on. Sure, the chargeback saga is back around now in full force, but that's kind of typical for the guy and it happens every once in a while. But fortunately for us, even when nothing is going on with DSP, he still manages to make himself look stupid. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Some of the most inane non-tent that exists on the platform. Things that nobody ever needed to hear, nobody ever asked for, but he felt so inclined to tell everybody that he went on his stream to do so. So hopefully you all enjoy the nonsensical nature of these two clips we're going to take a look at.
We should do a little segment that I like to call Bill's Day Off. What did I do yesterday on my day off? Well, I did my various usual things, running errands, pet supplies, etc.
So of course we start off Phil's day off with the usual, the ever so vague errands that we are constantly running and not actually, giving any details on, and the weekly trip to the pet store that he insists on taking despite only having one cat and confirmed not doing the cat litter often enough to actually justify going weekly.
There's really, honestly, only a couple things of note, all right? The first thing of note was I actually, for the first time ever, ate a new kind of food.
For the first time ever, you ate a new food. Let me just run that back one more time so we're all on the same page.
I actually, for the first time ever, ate a new kind of food.
No, we absolutely all heard that correctly. This is the first time DSP has ever apparently tried a new food, meaning either that he came out of the womb having experienced all foods under the sun, or he has no idea how the English language actually works and shouldn't be doing any sort of public speaking because of it. And I'll tell you, I'm actually leaning more towards the latter for obvious reasons, because I just don't know how you say that sentence and don't immediately realize the thing that you said doesn't make any sense. How are you a 42-year-old man and you're trying a new food for the first time ever? It feels weird to say and even weirder to hear. So I'm kind of curious as to how it slipped past DSP. Has his brain really deteriorated that much? Has he already forgotten every other food that he's ever tried in his entire life? And now that I'm looking at his face and seeing how blank his expression is, I can kind of tell that there's nothing going on behind the eyes. So I wouldn't be surprised if he really did forget every food.
Okay, now what was it? Well, funny enough, I have never had, and I'm an American, okay? I have never had Cold Stone Creamery ice cream. And yesterday, my wife and I were out doing other things, and it just so happens that we were a little hungry, and we were in a parking lot that randomly had a Cold Stone Creamery in it.
So this new food hype up that he was doing was just so that he could tell you he went to a Cold Stone Creamery. And I love the way that he tells it, that they found themselves in a parking lot that just randomly had a Cold Stone Creamery in it. As if he didn't know that the Cold Stone was there, as if it just came out of nowhere. It's brand new, you guys. And I can only speak for myself in this instance, but if I'm out running errands or doing whatever and I'm feeling a little peckish, a little hungry, if you will, I'm not thinking about going to a Cold Stone Creamery. I'm probably gonna go somewhere where I can get a burger and some fries or something. Ice cream is not going to hit the spot if I'm feeling peckish after being out. I get it if you're out and about and you want to get yourself a sweet treat. Absolutely, that makes sense. But if I was describing myself as being a little hungry, then that hunger needs to be satiated with legitimate food, not ice cream.
And I looked at it and I was like, you want to do it? I've never had it ever. And she's like, I've had it ages ago, but haven't had it in a million years. Funny enough, I've been in a Cold Stone Creamery before, but I didn't get anything. It was years ago, where I used to live in New Haven, Connecticut, and I lived in downtown New Haven, and I had two roommates, and they used to like to go like walking around downtown New Haven bar hopping. I remember one night after we went to the bars on the way home, there was a Cold Stone that was still open, and they said, "Why don't we stop at Cold Stone and get ice cream?" And I was like, I don't know. So I went in with them. I didn't get anything, but they got a bunch of ice cream.
And I want to point out that he made a point to tell you that this was something that his roommates enjoyed doing. They loved going bar hopping downtown. It was something that they enjoyed doing. Yet DSP's there with him. Is this him insinuating that he didn't enjoy going with them and going bar hopping? Because if that's what he's trying to get at, I'm gonna have to press X to doubt. The man was a known alcoholic when he was younger. I mean, he's still an alcoholic, but that's besides the point. You're not gonna convince me that he didn't enjoy going bar hopping downtown at that age. I also find it very strange that after going bar hopping with your friends and they stop in to get ice cream from the local Cold Stone that he didn't get anything. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt on this one and believe him, but I'm simultaneously gonna write this up on the board of strange alien behaviors that DSP has exhibited. Because after a night out drinking with friends, when they want to stop somewhere and grab something, whatever it is, it's very strange to not do it as well. If you're on the way back from the bar and they stop at Taco Bell, I'm getting something from Taco Bell. If they want to stop at the gas station and grab some Arizonas, I'm gonna grab an Arizona. Because we're already there, and now that I'm there, it does sound kind of good, doesn't it?
But it was like 20 years ago, so I don't even remember, honestly, what it was like or anything. I mean, 20 years is a long time. So we go in there, all right, and I'm just gonna say this up front, all right? This is something that I will probably rarely ever do again in my life. And I'm gonna explain why in a minute, all right? So we go in there, and immediately we look around and we're like, whoa, this is wild. They have all these different kinds of ice cream that you wouldn't think of, insane, like over the top peanut butter cup, like berries and cream with real berry pieces smashed in, like strawberry shortcake, strawberries and cake pieces really in the ice cream and stuff like that. Incredibly over the top, decadent stuff.
It's an ice cream shop, DSP. What did you expect them to have? IKEA furniture? This really just tells you how isolated and sheltered he's lived his entire life. He was genuinely surprised that when he went to a place that specializes in ice cream, that they have a large variety of ice cream with all sorts of things in it. I mean, I don't mean to single anybody out, but who hasn't been to an ice cream parlor before the age of 42? That is a very strange thing to have happen. And I love that all of the flavors that he listed there, which is the peanut butter, the strawberry shortcake, and the berries and cream, are all fairly regular flavors if you go somewhere that has a large variety, but him and Kat are apparently just blown away because it's not like any of those flavors are exactly exclusive to a Cold Stone Creamery. If you go to any ice cream parlor, they're bound to have some sort of variation of those.
And we're like, oh man, now here's the thing. I don't really have a sweet tooth anymore. I don't. Like, I lost my sweet tooth as I got older. I much would prefer more savory foods. When it comes to being sweet, like the only thing I can think of that I really like is chocolate. I don't crave sugary fruit, caramel, peanut butter that much anymore. I'll eat it in a rarity, but not often. Okay.
Okay, then just get a chocolate ice cream, DSP. I'm sure that they have many different styles of chocolate ice cream that you can choose from. But he has made it very clear in the past that he does have a strange aversion to anything that's sweet. Any sort of candy, he's just really not about, hence why he couldn't get through all of those zombie Skittles that he was supposed to eat for the tips goal. Which, by the way, I believe he still owes everybody like 6 zombie Skittles. It's just really obnoxious how he has to talk about it every time that something sweet is brought into the picture. Anytime that there's a cake that his wife makes for his birthday, or brownies, or a pie, he just feels inclined to let everybody know that he doesn't like sweet things, as if that's some sort of sign that he eats better than he really does, as if that's some sort of indicator that he's living a healthy lifestyle, which we can all tell by the way that he looks that he's most definitely not.
So we go, and I'm just looking at it all, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna get something. We're here, and it's a rarity that I'd be here, but I have no idea what to get. I don't want to get something too sweet and then I take 2 bites of it and I don't like it anymore. My wife's looking too. So we decided to get 2 flavors and kind of like share. So she got one that was some kind of cookie dough, like crazy cookie dough. And then I got something that I thought perhaps I could stomach, mint chocolate chip.
And this is why some of the more little innocuous details that DSP includes in his day off really just should be redacted when he's telling people. Because I can't be the only one that thought immediately upon hearing that Kat got the cookie dough ice cream. Well, I'm not surprised. And that just isn't a thought that I could have had if he didn't tell us what ice cream she got. Not that there's exactly a healthy flavor that she could have gotten, but given the way that she looks and the situation with trolls online, you didn't need to tell everybody that she was getting the ultra cookie dough ice ice cream. That's a joke waiting to happen that just didn't need to be possible. But I do find it rather amusing that Kat, knowing that he has this strange aversion to sweet things, went for the ultra cookie dough ice cream. I wonder if she knew that he just wouldn't be interested in it, meaning that she was going to get the maximum amount out of it as possible. I would just think that it would be a courtesy thing if you're going to try and share some of this ice cream with your significant other, you would try and get a flavor that you would think they would also like. I'm not saying make your choice entirely off of that, definitely get a flavor that you are going to want to eat, but try and find one that you would both mutually enjoy.
But of course, they can't just call it mint chocolate chip. Guess what they call it? Mint chocolate chip. What the fuck? Can't you just call it mint chocolate chip? I mean, come on. Sounds like a kid who's just repeating themselves.
But it's not just mint chocolate chip, DSP, and for anybody who doesn't know, the mint chocolate chip is mint ice cream with chocolate chips, brownie, and fudge in it. So no, they won't just call it a basic mint chocolate chip because that's not what it is, stupid. But he'll make it very clear very soon that he did not actually read the menu and had no idea what was actually going to be in the ice cream. So I shouldn't be surprised that he wanted it to be named after the standard mint chocolate chip ice cream.
So anyway, we each got one and we basically kind of tasted each other's or whatever. First of all, it is so thick but still kind of like, it's thick but not hard and cold. Like a lot of ice cream, when you scoop it, it's too hard and cold. This ice cream is thick, but it's like soft at the same time. So it's a different consistency than what I'm used to. It's not soft serve at all. Soft serve is more liquidy. This is still dense ice cream, but it definitely is more like malleable ice cream. Okay, I don't know what they do. I don't know if the cream content is different or something like that. I'm not sure, but it definitely is a little different. Okay.
Out of all of the things to pig-splain to your audience, did you really think that ice cream had to be one of them, DSP? And while I absolutely hate every pig-splanation, I absolutely cannot stand the pig-splanations where he ends it off by saying that he's not sure exactly why of something and he doesn't have an answer. He just wants to go out of his way to describe something that he has no business actually describing because he has the vocabulary of a small child. I'm honestly shocked that malleable is even in his vocabulary and that he knows how to use it at all.
So then I started eating it and I realized it didn't just have mint and chocolate. It was basically mint ice cream with dark chocolate chips that also were mint chocolate, but then there was also fudge brownie pieces mixed into it. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was in there. Like I had no clue.
And there it is. He has no idea what's in the ice cream that he ordered. It's not like they're trying to hide it, DSP, and you definitely could have asked questions when at the counter. But of course, he's just got that consumer mindset. He read something that he thought he might enjoy and he just forked over the cash without asking any additional questions at all. Not for a second did he stop and wonder why they actually named it what they named it and not just the normal thing he's used to. As if that wasn't some sort of indication as to it being something different.
So I started eating it. I was like, this is pretty good. Now, here's the thing. What did I like the most? The mint and the dark chocolate flavor. The sugar, even if it was less sugary, I think I just like mint. Overall in my life, it's a flavor that I really enjoy. So I basically ate it, and I was like, this is pretty good. All right? My wife's, which was the cookie dough, I had one spoon of, and at first I thought it tasted good, and then the cookie dough hit me, and I was like, that is way too sweet. Like, again, for me, like, I don't like overload of sugar. And when the cookie dough hit my palate, I was like, oh, I would not eat that.
And this is why this story just didn't need to be said, because he's indirectly putting down his own wife and making her look worse on the internet for little to no reason at all. I know that he doesn't get that and he thinks that it's just personal preference, but the way that he describes it as an overload of sugar, and again, given her situation with her weight, it's just not a good look and is, like I said, indirectly putting her down and making her look worse. I don't know if he does this out of a place of malice or just ignorance. I would like to think ignorance, because why would you belittle your own wife in this way? But with DSP, you can never really be sure because he will stomp over everybody in his life if it means that he even gets an iota of positivity reflected back upon him.
You know, so anyway, we ate it and enjoyed it, okay? So it was actually, I would say it was a good experiment. It's something that I certainly would not do all the time, but it's, you know, rarity. It's the first time I've ever had it. So why would I probably never do it again? All right, you want to know the truth? Ladies and gentlemen, Cold Stone Creamery ice cream was nearly $10 a serving. $10 fucking USD a serving.
Is that a big deal, DSP? How many Hogan polls is that? What is the ice cream to Hogan conversion rate that is acceptable for you?
What the hell? And I'll be honest, if I had known that it was that much, I would not have gone into Cold Stone Creamery. I would have skipped it. But we didn't know, and we're like, well, we're here, let's go in. And we went in, and we're like, all right, let's get it. We'll figure out what we're going to order. And then we looked at the prices. We're like, what the fool? Ooh. But we were already there. Like, well, you might as well do it, right?
If it wasn't a price that you were comfortable paying, DSP, you could have either ordered a smaller size, because I can tell you by looking at the sizes right now in front of me, I'll put them up on the screen right now. You didn't order the smallest size if it cost you $10. In fact, it looks like you bought the largest one, but you also could have went on that little device that I know you have in your pocket and went online to check their prices. And while that might sound like a very strange thing to do if you're already in the parking lot, because you could always just go in and look, it saves you the time and effort of actually having to walk across the parking lot, walk into a building, and then 180 out because you're too cheap. Which, if you're going to be cheap, is the strategy. Many times myself have I thought that I was gonna go somewhere for food, looked at the prices online, and went, hell no, I'm going somewhere else. I don't think that there's any shame in being cheap in this way, but if you're going to actually go through and spend the money, then you don't get to come online and bitch about it. Because there's definitely a way that you could have told this story and made it interesting and still not have done this bitching segment about how much it cost. There's a way that you could have communicated that you were dissatisfied with the cost of the product without sounding like a whiny baby.
But, dude, I was like, and the funny part is when we went in, there was a lot of people in there. A lot. So they're all spending $10 a pop. And I'm thinking to myself, I thought that we're like in a bad economy with inflation. Everyone claims they have no money. How is Cold Stone Creamery full to the brim with people waiting in line to spend $10 a pop on a little thing of ice cream that you're going to eat in 5 minutes and be done with? Right?
People like to have a sweet treat, DSP. People like to treat themselves. Life is miserable enough, and if they get some little enjoyment out of ice cream on their day off or whatever, like you literally did, then who are you to judge them and how much they're spending? Why are you pocket watching these random strangers in public? And that's before even addressing that many people in the world live outside their limits. They spend more money on things than they really should. Things like fast food, things like clothes that they don't need, and one of those things might even be a sweet treat like ice cream. But again, that's not your place to call them out. That's not your pocket to watch, DSP. Why don't you worry about your second bankruptcy? Why don't you worry about how much money you're giving to Scopely every day? Aren't you the king of DoorDash? Why don't you worry about how many delivery fees you're paying?
So this is pretty wild that it's that expensive. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to go to Dairy Queen all the time with my dad. It was actually down the street. We could walk like 2-3 blocks away and we get to a Dairy Queen. And I remember he would either get me like a little Blizzard or a sundae, and he would get like an ice cream cone with a dip. You know, of course, we're talking 30, 40 years ago. And, you know, the price was like, you know, up 2, 3. Even then, I would say probably I remember the Blizzards were kind of expensive for the time. If the Blizzard were like $3.99, it'd be like, oh, God. Right? That's very expensive. Right? And out here, it's like $10 for Cold Stone. And it's not big either. It's a little cup. It's not a giant thing they're filling. It's a little cup of this decadent ice cream.
Yeah, it's also higher quality because I believe that they make it there and they have such a wide variety of flavors that you're not going to get at your local Dairy Queen, DSP. They exclusively sell these sweet treats, these ice creams, sundaes, and cakes. They specialize in exactly that, and when you go to a location that specializes in something, they're going to have a wider variety at a higher quality, which typically means a higher price tag. I don't know how you're 42 and don't understand this yet.
And I don't know. Like, again, it's weird to me that people claim that everything is so bad right now and there's no money to go around and the economy's so bad, right? Inflation's so bad, but you go into Cold Stone and they're fucking packed to the gills. It's like, actually what should have happened is we went in there and there was no one in there and they were desperate for business is what should have happened, but it was the opposite. So I don't really get it. Maybe people have money, they just spend it on the wrong stuff. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going back there. Like, probably another 10 years I'll walk in there on a whim. We'll be there. But there's no way I'm spending $10 on ice cream. That's insane.
So I guess DSP just wants all of these ice cream places and probably many other brick and mortar businesses to just go out of business because inflation is high and the economy's kind of tanked. But we all know that DSP would be the first person to complain about brick and mortar stores going out of business and complaining that everybody's doing everything online and you can't actually go anywhere and buy anything. You can never really win with this guy. But fortunately for us, that clip is over and the next one is just as stupid. Just another shining example of how disrespectful DSP actually is with his audience's time.
I just want to make a quick comment that has absolutely nothing to do with gaming at all. It's just an aside observation of mine, okay? So today you may notice I'm wearing one of my new button-down shirts. I've only worn this one once on stream before.
I can tell you that I absolutely did not notice that he was wearing one of his new button-down shirts, and I absolutely could not have told you how many times he's worn it on stream before. Because much like what I would imagine is most of his audience as well as mine, I don't really give a shit what he's wearing, as long as it's not those cum-encrusted Zelda jammies. Every day that we have to talk about what shirt DSP is wearing, I am cursing LTG the entire time. One guy tells DSP to work on his sexy, and now we all have to suffer. You know, I guess it's true what they say. Consequences really do have actions, pimp.
And it was about a month ago that it was getting warmer, and I said, you know, I should really get a lot more of these shirts because I really liked wearing them last year, but I don't want them all to be tropical. So I'm going to go out and go to a few discount stores, secondhand stores, and buy some clothes on the cheap so I have stuff to wear over the summer. And so I did. And I don't know what it is with clothing, because this is just one of these pet peeve observations of mine that I've had over my lifetime, but why on earth can clothing companies not get sizing to be consistent?
This is such a level 1 observation and something that again has no business actually being discussed on a stream like this. I'm genuinely shocked that YouTube actually allows their bandwidth to be utilized for something as stupid as this guy's stream when he talks about things like his shirt sizes. I mean, this is an observation that you make when you're a teenager and actually trying to dress yourself appropriately for the first time. Yet here we have DSP, a 42-year-old man who is still coming to grips with the fact that these clothing companies do not coordinate their sizes.
All right. And here's what I mean by that. As I went out to get shirts, all right, I would look in either the large or extra large section for shirts. And traditionally over my life, I've either been in large or an extra large. When I'm a little bit more slim, I'm a large. Whenever I kind of get a little bit more chubby, as you know, I used to be way more chubby, typically an extra large is the right size for me, okay? So as I'm going and buying these shirts, you know, when you're at a secondhand store, this is not a store that's a full-fledged retail store, full price or anything like that. We're talking these stores that kind of resell product that were unsold at those retail stores, or sometimes you go to a store where new or like new clothing is cleaned and dressed up, and you can buy it at a huge discount. And that's really where I shop. There's no reason for me to go to, say, a department store or a full-fledged clothing store and end up paying $50, $60, $70 for a shirt like this when I could go to the discount store and get it for $10. And it's the same shirt. It's brand new. Okay?
And that entire thing there is just a diversion tactic. It's just a smokescreen that he loves to deploy. It's a way for him to justify buying new clothing while simultaneously still pretending to be poor, like he needs your money at all costs. Because any rational viewer is gonna look at this streamer who's constantly buying new clothes all of the time and raise a couple of questions. Because for somebody who's constantly crying poor and on the verge of not being able to pay his bills or buy video games for the very streams that he operates, he seems to be spending his money very frivolously on things like clothes and ice cream. And DoorDash and Hogan's, obviously, but that's besides the point. So anytime that he is talking about buying new clothes, or anytime that he wants to point out that he's wearing something new, he has to preface it and let everybody know that it was actually super cheap and he didn't spend money at all. Regardless of how much money he's actually spending per item, I think it's very strange that a guy who leaves his house one time a week actually owns this many different sets of clothing. He's obviously not trying to impress his audience because he doesn't care what they think, or he wouldn't burp into the microphone. He's obviously not trying to impress his wife because she doesn't even want to talk to him, let alone actually be physically attracted to the way he looks. So I'm just confused as to who this whole thing is for. About the only person left is Jasper or LTG himself, and I really don't know which one is worse.
So anyway, you know, as I was looking, what you got to do is go to the sized sections. They're not sorted by brand, they're sorted by size. And I would sift through the larges and the extra larges and go through all of them to look for nice shirts. And sometimes what I would really do is I would grab a bunch that I thought were nice, and then I would run them over to Kat and say, which ones of these do you like? And then we would kind of agree on 2 or 3 shirts, and maybe that's what I would get, you know?
Now, I want to make this very clear. I don't think that there's any issue with getting a second opinion from your significant other while you're out shopping for new clothes. I think that's totally fine and probably a good idea. But the way that DSP says it sounds like he lacks any sort of agency at all. It sounds like his normality is just going to get a couple of pieces that he likes and then having to get a confirmation from Kat. There's just something about the way he says it. Maybe it's because he says that he's running over to Kat like a small child to their parent. Or maybe it's something about the way that he says that she picks 2 or 3 and those are the ones that he gets, making it sound like she gets the final say in the decision as if he's not a 42-year-old man.
But the weirdest thing, and this is just true for all clothing I feel, and I've noticed this over my life, there's just no regular sizing. Like, large is supposed to mean something. It's supposed to mean a certain measurement of either centimeters or inches in the shirt. And I don't know what the measurement is. Is it across the chest? Is it around the arm? Is it around the side? Is it the neck? I don't know what the measurement is. But technically, it's supposed to have some kind of scientific measurement reasoning of why it's called a large or an extra large.
The word that he was looking for was not scientific, but in fact quantitative. It has like a numerical value. It has something to measure, something that you can count. That's what he was looking for. But how is he this old and not understand that there's so many other things that go into the sizing of clothing? Because sizes vary depending on what country they actually originate from. Because a small, medium, and large is definitely different when you're going from the United States to somewhere like Indonesia. Also, every company is going to fit a little differently just because that's the way that they manufacture their clothing. They may even expect their clothes to specifically fit on you differently than other clothing brands. I said this earlier, but this is just something that you figure out much earlier in life and just learn to deal with. You learn what size you are. And if at any point you're ever unsure when shopping for clothes, you should probably just go and try them on. I know that these discount stores that he's shopping at have dressing rooms for this exact reason, but I can tell you with almost absolute certainty that DSP is not going into dressing rooms and trying any piece of clothing on at all. The mere idea of getting half undressed to try on a piece of clothing in a public store would have DSP in absolute shambles. I mean, he's already counting his lucky stars that he can make it through the building with all of those sexy mannequins hanging around.
But man, it doesn't seem like these companies give a crap. For example, there's some shirts that I bought and they're large. And I put them on and they fit absolutely nicely, snugly perfect. There's some shirts I bought that are larges that are just too small. And I'm like, why is this shirt so small when I have another large that's spacious, right? With extra large. Sometimes I buy an extra large and it fits perfectly. Okay, well, obviously I'm an extra large then. Doesn't make sense that some larges fit me. And then sometimes I buy an extra large and I feel like I'm wearing a blanket over my body. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this? It's like I'm wearing a poncho. It's supposed to be a shirt. Why is it so large when I have other extra large shirts that are much smaller than it?
And just let this sink in for a second. This was content that DSP genuinely thought was a good idea to do for his stream. He thought that this was worth his audience's time. He thought that this was better than the gameplay that he was going to do for the day. I just can't imagine how desperate you have to be for content for your stream to think that this is genuinely a good idea. To talk about this experience that pretty much everybody on the face of the planet has had in the past and has just gotten used to by now. He might as well have just got on stream and told everybody that his eyes hurt when he looks into the sun. Like, yeah, dipshit, everybody's figured that out by now. There really isn't any sort of discussion to be had on this subject. And just a heads up, I'm gonna speed up this next little section here, because despite this entire segment being stupid, this next little bit is just the creme de la creme of stupidity.
Case in point, today, I'm just going to ask the audience. Let's see if they can figure this out. So this is a Carhartt shirt, which is a name brand, okay? What size shirt do you think I'm wearing today? Okay, I'm just going to put my arms out. You can see the sleeves are quite lengthy and large, all right? As you can see, the shirt is pretty spacious on me, okay? Pretty good fit. So what size shirt do you think this Carhartt shirt is today? I'm going to see what people say in chat. Let's see. Extra large, extra large, extra, extra large, small. Now, I think Ellipsian is being sarcastic. Extra, extra large, extra, extra, extra large. Looks large, but seems like a medium. Large, extra large, medium, large. Okay. The consensus there seemed to either be like an extra large or an extra, extra large. Well, first of all, I've never worn extra, extra large in my life, to make that clear. I've only either worn large or extra large, okay? This shirt is a large. a large, and look how big it is on me. I would almost say it's too big for me. Like I bought a size too big. So if I'm gonna buy this brand, I should have bought a medium, I guess, right? And I'm not complaining. I like it. It's comfy. It's a comfy shirt, right?
Why does he keep looking for affirmation to see if the shirt is comfortable or not? Like, dude, I don't know. I'm not the one wearing the shirt. Is it comfortable? And it's probably not within DSP's best interest to ever buy a medium shirt given the state that his yonkers are currently at. Given the size of them bad boys, he might want to invest in a sports bra and continue to wear slightly oversized shirts. And while he's at it, he might want to throw away that long sleeve red Uniqlo that he's got that makes his titties pop more than every other article of clothing he has. It's just an idea.
There are shirts that I have that are larges that I cannot button properly. Like I go to button them and they're too tight. Okay. Now I like the shirts, but I obviously should have gotten an extra large. So what I do, if you notice some shirts I wear an undershirt under, that's usually why I'm doing that. Because even though I bought a shirt that was supposed to fit me, it's way too small. The brand runs small.
Then why didn't you return the shirt, DSP? Why didn't you go and donate it to somewhere since it doesn't fit? What is even the point of wearing these shirts if they're not going to fit you and you're going to have to make them work by wearing an undershirt underneath them? And I want to point out again that all of this could have been avoided if he would have just tried the shirt on in the store. And all of these button-up shirts that he's buying, he wouldn't even have to go into a dressing room to try on. He could just take them off of the hanger right there in the alley and throw it over whatever generic t-shirt he's wearing. This guy has the easiest problems to solve, and yet he refuses to actually do anything about it. He'd much rather just get on his stream and complain, because apparently that's the content he loves to do.
And likewise, there's a couple shirts there that I bought that were extra large that I actually feel are too big. Like, man, they just feel like they're super big on me. So it's just a weird thing. Now, you want to know what this is even more prominent? Shoes. When you need to buy shoes, especially someone like me, I have very large feet. Okay, they're like ginormous flopping, stupid, whatchamacallums, fin. I have like fins on my feet, like duck waddling, things. It's just ridiculous. Like giant clown shoes would fit me.
And upon hearing this, I thought that he was going to say he has some ridiculously sized foot, something along the 15 to 16 range. But as we'll hear soon enough, that is most definitely not the case. In fact, he has what I would consider a fairly normal sized foot. Granted, it is a little on the bigger side for sure, but it's definitely not within the range of clown shoes.
So in my lifetime, and my feet have not grown since I was in my teens. They got huge when I was like, 16, 17, and they haven't changed in size since then. In my lifetime, I have worn shoes that were size 11, 11 and a half, 12, 12 and a half, and 13. So are you telling me when I put a shoe on my foot, it magically, my foot grows or shrinks several inches? Of course not.
No, I agree, DSP. Of course not. Shoes just fit differently. They have padding in different spots. They expect people to have different shaped feet. They have this variety for people who have a variety of foot shape. Not everybody is going to be comfortable in every single pair of shoes. And that's perfectly fine. And the reason that you should be trying on a pair of shoes before you buy them. But yeah, the clown shoes that he's talking about range from 11 to 13. Like I said, I wouldn't necessarily consider that clown shoes, being that I can wear an 11 to a 12 and a half just fine. But sure, whatever DSP says.
The shoes just aren't correct. They're supposed to be a measurement of size, but they're not. They just make it however the hell they want per their style, and then you have to F around trying to find ones that fit, Now, the thing is, typically up to now, if you're going to buy clothing and you go to the store, you sit there and you try it on. You'll grab a bunch of shirts, you'll grab a bunch of pants, you'll grab a bunch of shoes, you go to the dressing room. You'll try them on to see if they fit properly before you buy them and take them home. But increasingly, what we're seeing more and more is that people are ordering online. Let's be honest, since COVID, half the world went antisocial. They just sit at home all day doing everything from their homes and they just order. If that's the case, you're not going to have an opportunity to test anything. Right?
Are you including yourself in that half of the world, DSP? Because you actually went antisocial far before COVID happened. I know that you love to use COVID as an excuse as to why you don't go out anymore, and that after COVID started, you just kind of gave up and never got back in the routine. But the reality is that you weren't leaving your house very much before COVID happened. So are you describing yourself right now? But he is right in this instance. If you buy clothing off of Amazon, you don't get a chance to try it on beforehand. That seems pretty self-explanatory. But the good thing about Amazon is that if it doesn't fit, you could just, return it, and then you could just buy a bigger size after you get your money back. Isn't that crazy?
You're gonna have to order it, see if it fits, and if it doesn't fit, somehow get it to be returned. My wife went through this recently. She's looking for a new pair of shoes and went to the store, and the store actually didn't even have anything that she liked. So she's like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to order online, but you know how hit or miss that is. I'm not kidding you. She has ordered 4 of the same shoes. Each one in succession didn't fit right until finally she got the 4th one. We had to keep returning. So we order, doesn't fit, return, reorder, doesn't fit, return, reorder, doesn't fit, return. The 4th one kind of fits, but not really. So now she has to get like socks that are thicker to try to get the shoes to fit. It's like, what the hell is wrong with these companies? I know the size of my foot. Why doesn't it just fit?
This just sounds like a skill issue to me. How did you mess up the sizing 4 different times? I feel like once you try something on, you should be able to tell about how many more sizes up or down you need to go in order for it to fit properly. And sure, that's not a 100% foolproof plan. You are inevitably going to get it wrong and maybe need to do it a 3rd time, but a 4th time even? Like I said, I'm just gonna have to chalk this one up to a skill issue. There's no way. And I would think that if I had this much trouble buying shoes online, that after the 2nd attempt even, I would just go back out into the real world and try and find another pair of shoes that I like. I would go to my local shoe store and ask them if they could order this pair of shoes in the size that I need them in. It's not a very complicated process, and definitely something that these places will offer you because they want the sale. But of course, this is the Burnell household that we're talking about, so clearly they're incapable of talking to any of the nice people that work at these public locations.
Anyway, this is just a pet peeve thing of me to get off my chest to start today's show. I figured if I'm not going to talk about it here, where am I going to talk about it?
And I think that's one of the biggest problems with DSP and why we get so many non-tense segments like this. Because he doesn't have anybody to talk to. So stupid and inane topics like this that would last 2 sentences in real life get drug out for way longer than they really should be because there's nobody actually responding back to DSP. He's allowed to just continue these topics that nobody asked for. It's yet just another repercussion of DSP having no legitimate social interaction outside of the stream. And even then, I'm hesitant to call stream interaction social interaction at all.
It's just a silly thing. Why don't clothing companies have consistency with their products? It would make things so much easier for the customer. And I almost feel like if there was consistency, people would know what to order and they would order more often. Because a lot of people probably look online, they're like, wow, that looks really nice, but man, I don't want to spend that amount of money if it ain't going to fit. Now I got to go through the trouble of returning it. That's dumb. Just have it all be consistent, right? 2 hot dogs may have said the dumbest comment I've ever heard in my life. You ordered the same size 4 times and were surprised it didn't fit. No, stupid. We ordered one size, didn't fit. Ordered another size, didn't fit. Ordered another size, didn't fit. Finally got a size that should have fit, but didn't still, and we're just going to keep it. Boy, you are thick. I think half the time the people who try to talk shit about me, they're just so dumb. They don't understand an intelligent conversation.
Is that what you would consider this, DSP? This is an intelligent conversation? Making these level 1 observations that nobody gives a shit about? This is intelligent conversation? You don't even know why the sizes vary the way they do. You're just sitting here complaining without actually looking into it and providing any sort of information at all.
Yeah, we ordered the same product 4 times, the same size. Of course we did. Also, when I wake up in the morning, I smash my head against the wall about 17 times till I start bleeding, just for fun. What are you, a fucking moron? What a dumb comment. Wow. Anyway,
Wow, what a miserable and graphic way to respond to something so stupid in your chat, DSP. I'm sure that was well worth your time and energy. But like DSP said, anyway, let's look at some of the comments from my last video. So of course it's big ups to the 60 skulls. Aaron Tabor 7098 says, I still can't believe that he was bitching about 600 answers to the poll with his 27,000 followers. That's more answers than most of his YouTube polls get with 200,000 subscribers. And that's exactly the point that I was trying to get across in the video. If he was disappointed in the response rate given how many followers he has on Twitter, he must be absolutely seething about how many people actually respond to his YouTube polls on the channel that has over 200,000 subscribers. I mean, those 600 answers on the Twitter poll almost amount to the amount of views that he gets on an average video. Yona Suzuki says every time he says, well, back in 2010, I legit groan, zone out, and tune back in when it's not his voice anymore. I refuse to listen to these stories again, Phil. Well, I'll just tell you, I wish we could all be so lucky, but unfortunately for some of us, the other voice that you wait to hear is me, Ree. But I'll tell you, if I could, I absolutely would. And Soulmare333 says, DSP leaning in and whispering Mr. Musk is in a bad way was giving the grossest vibes imaginable. Phil, get the out of my ear and never say anything in that format ever again. And I'm forced to agree. I think that ASMR DSP is one of the worst experiences that you can have on the YouTube platform. And as soon as I'm president and CEO of Google and YouTube, I'm making it against the terms of service for DSP to be that close to his microphone and speak in that manner. So make sure to write me in on your next Google poll. And as the next CEO of Google, I want to take a second to thank everybody who watched the video, especially if you made it this far. Hopefully I'll catch all of you guys in the next video, but until then, make sure that you check out other detractor content and dive deeper into that. Snortex.